Southern Miss community. So
Yes. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to our guy running the boys back there, Carter. Shout out to the
yes,
young
thank you,
man.
Carter.
He's a sophomore now. It seems like he still is a freshman to me. But shout out to Carter and shout out to everybody watching. But let's go on and hop into the show, guys. It's another great year. And I'll let you take it from here, Dima. But let's just talk about the Sun Belt Media Days, and then we'll get into more of fall camp and what's going on. Football season is right around the corner, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Football season's right around the corner. Austin and Jackson went down with me to New Orleans. Was it last week? I can't even get my week straight. But last week we went down to New Orleans and watched 2 days full of interviews and media. A lot of coverage from all the new to all of us. Obviously, the Sun Belt, a new thing this year for Southern Miss. Is going to be the first sport that Southern Miss is able to be in and compete in the Sun Belt Conference. And so we heard from Will Hall was there for Southern Miss, representing Southern Miss. Obviously, then they had Swayze Bozeman along with Jason Brownlee. We got a chance to talk to them individually, and we got to talk a little bit about, obviously, as you know by now, Hayes Maples is out for the linebacker room. And we got to talk about the offensive line depth. We got to talk about the transfers and a bunch of other stuff that happened down there. Then we got to hear from Sunbelt Commissioner Kevin Warren talking about his new contract and just about how the three new schools, James Madison and Old Dominion and Southern Miss and Marshall, that's correct, all there to new for Sunbelt Media Day. But Southern Miss for sure, we got a lot of good coverage in, as you saw our stories and our Twitter spaces and stuff like that. So it was a good 2 days, and we learned a lot.
Yes, and Jackson was actually representing Big Gold Nation. Shout out to Jackson. That's a huge thing for him. Jackson, what are your thoughts on the Sun Belt?
Yeah, shout out Heath Hinton right there. So basically, the vibe around Southern Miss is that they're going to be improved. Coach Hall said it's going to be a 3-year process, this obviously being year 2. So it's going to be interesting to see. He talked about his O-line depth. He said it's going to be better. 7 new scholarship guys with some returning starters, and then the addition of Sam Gregg, the offensive coordinator and O-line coach. And then talking about the loss of Hayes Maples, he said that's the one position they have the most depth.
Yeah.
So they're most comfortable there. So the defense is going to carry the load, we think. And then they're putting all their confidence in Ty Keys, and we're going to see what he can do this season.
Of course, it shall be an interesting season. And speaking of that, I'll transition into fall camp and see where the Golden Eagles are now. They are on the field, on the gridiron, like I said earlier, less than a month away. It gets started all on September the 3rd against Liberty at home. So we'll transfer it over to see how things are going. We have a little sports wrap for you guys. So, Carter, press the keys. In his second year under the helm of the Golden Eagles, Coach Hall called fall camp a celebration of the grueling months leading up to this point.
We're here with
Again, this fall camp is a celebration of everything we put in over the course of 8
How you doing?
months. All the way through spring lifting, spring workouts, through summer workouts, through academics. We've totally changed the perception of our academics in our football program.
Redshirt freshman quarterback Ty Keys is coming off of an ankle injury that cut his season short. Now healthy, he is ready to prove the critics wrong.
We don't really show what we're really
Sunday.
about this season. Everybody just think
This will
we
be
just down
going
the
on
bottom.
Monday,
We're gonna show everybody.
but
We're gonna shock the world.
coaches,
When asked
what is your
what's
overall
special about this season's team, defensive back Malik Shorts
of
kept
these
it plain and
first
simple.
days of camp?
It's more dogs. That's really what it is, Guys that's willing to work every day. Guys that's been here now, we got more help. It just puts us to another level where now it might be our turn. It's really our shot to go on and get this thing for a company championship for USM.
Lifting phase, then you do spring ball, then you have
Guys, that was our little recap, little wrap on so far on fall camp. That was from the first days. We talked to Coach Hall. Like Malik Short said, they have more dogs, and Ty Keys is ready to shock the world. So all of us have been in fall camp now. All of us have been in fall camp. Jackson, you went Saturday. Charlie has been 2 days, and Dima, you have been a couple of days too. And I want to kick this one off to you, Charlie. You've been there. Charlie, I just want to commend Charlie, and we'll get into the discussion, but Charlie has been dropping some fire pictures.
Thank
I
you.
was fixing to say.
Charlie has been dropping some fire pictures. So, Charlie, I just want to give you credit now. Give me your thoughts, man, on fall camp so
I guess
far.
behind the lens, I'm not doing as much watching really critically as y'all are, But I will say yesterday, when they actually got the pads on, you could see more start to make, observations. And obviously, first day of pads, so still, there's so much more of fall camp. But I would say is I saw a lot of situations where I think a lot of guys were getting burned, and I think that's a part of fall camp. You got it's what I put as the caption: "Iron sharpens iron." Right? We know this wide receiver room is going to be deeper than it was last year, and hopefully Southern Miss quarterback room will be in a lot better situation than it was last year for the offense to show the talent that they have. And so yesterday I saw some specifically like man situations. That was where I was spending a lot of time with. There were some burnt coverages, but that comes with fall camp. Like I was telling you at fall camp, I'm seeing stuff from the NFL where guys getting burned.
My guy Trayvon D is
yeah,
getting burned.
people are gonna put that. People are gonna put that on your head, but you just got to move on. And I mean, saying that, there was also some really good coverage. Saw Cam made a really good play. I'm trying to think. Also, Natron made a break up too. Also had a dropped interception, that should have really been an interception, but that it's the time to clean those things up. And that's really what I've observed. Obviously, 3 blocked kicks, I think, yesterday. Yeah. That could be a protection issue. First day, again, doing stuff like that, special teams, fully getting into it. Saw some nice punts, though, getting it inside the 20.
Yeah,
but
that was a signing moment.
It's still
in the season that wasn't so great last season.
Last year, we were able to kind of talk about like more things, but there's lots of great players on this team, and really as we get deeper into fall camp, I think we'll be able to make more observations than we really can right now, honestly.
Of course. Something that I'd like to add to that too is that Coach Will Hall, he's been stressing this a lot, and in talking about it, just the scholarships. He talked about the big difference between going from 62 to 85, and he talked about the talent level. And like Malik Short said right there, that the talent level is more prevalent this year than last year, due to those scholarships and having people that are not just, fill-ins or anything. These are actual, recruits that Will Hall is, going out to get. And you kind of see him placing his culture on it. Placing his culture on his team, and he talked about that yesterday about how the overall wellness and health of the program has been fixed to go in the right direction, and you don't see a lot of lagging around and stuff like that. These guys are coming to work, even though they talked about the stress, like you said, talked about the stress of the heat, and you see that, but those guys are prevailing through that and working towards that.
Yeah, and I think that's all great points, and I wasn't out there yesterday, so I wasn't able to see the pads, but I will say when I was out there, I've focused on the offense. I was out there with my phone and reading off the numbers. I saw on first team.
So try hard.
So one thing that Will Hall has been stressing is that you have those 3 full rotations at offensive line. So they would bring out the first team offensive line, they bring out the second team offensive line, they bring out the third team offensive line. The quarterback splitted with Ty Keys number 1, Trey Lowe number 2, and Zach Wilkie number 3. And then your running backs in order was Frank Gore Jr. first, Dejon Richard second, and Chandler Pittman third. And then your first string wide receivers was Jason Brownlee, Jacarius Caston, and Antavius Willis. So I just thought that was something that everybody wanted to hear, because I know that the rotation, as far as especially people thinking that the quarterback room, that wasn't really certain. Like, we all thought Ty Keys would start, but obviously last week at Some About Media Days, that's when it was confirmed. But I'd just like to see who that second string is and see how they're working, and especially for running backs as well, with Dejon Richard and Chandler Pittman battling for that number 2. And thought it was interesting that they did come out in that order. And then just wondering who's going to help out Jason Brownlee just a little bit. And Will Hall and company has had high hopes for Jacarius Caston. He was looking really good out there. And when I first went out there on Friday, the first thing I saw was Ty Keys dropping balls in the breadbasket of Jason Brownlee, like 40-yard bombs. I mean, just right where it needed to be. And Jacarius Caston was right there too, getting those balls. So that's what I observed on the first day. I didn't really get a good look at the defense because I was on the opposite end of the field. But when I go back, probably on Friday, I'll be able to look at it.
Before Jackson's feast, I'm going to say too, you were talking about Richard and them. One interesting thing, Richard really last camp, put people on notice. Yes. I was looking at the roster, I was like, wow, I think he's gonna make some impact plays like this year. They should, put him in. They did, and he really did. It was like a 1-2 punch almost this year. But who's really been surprising so far just these first couple of days is how much they put in freshman running back Kenyan Clay.
Yes, he was balling.
Yesterday too, he was balling. He was
Yeah.
like pulling out juke moves and stuff, and it really is crazy because I was thinking about it. It's 3 straight years, honestly, now from watching fall camps of seeing a freshman running back play like with such confidence. You had Frank Gore coming as freshman. I remember them just saying it's Frank Gore. He's gonna do what he does. Dejan really was impressing. Coach Hall was talking about him early on, and I really think Kenyon Clay has the chance to be, add to this running back room, and I think that just adds depth to the offense because I believe that Southern Miss's defense can continue getting better. We saw how dominant some of their linebackers were last year. Obviously, that took a hit. But then adding depth to that offense is going to be so crucial too, especially when you have such a young quarterback, because I don't think it's necessary. I know Tykees has the talent, but I don't think it's necessarily fair to, put it all on him, There's weapons on this team that can help, and I think that's obviously what this offense is going to be built around. And it's like if you have them, use them too,
Of course.
I remember Coach Lindsey, right? Running backs, he was talking about we're gonna try to find a way to use them all somehow,
Yeah.
So last season, so I definitely think they can get more involved on the offense and be a pretty dangerous offense.
You make a good point about the running back depth. You've also got a guy, Janari Dean, a transfer from Mississippi State.
Yes,
I saw him at practice. He made some good plays as well. So they're all going to come together. You see it across the board in college. Running back by committee, that's usually a term you don't want to hear. But, it's going to be successful. Just keep the pressure off of Ty Keys. And about Ty Keys, he's made some great plays in practice. Obviously, he's where you want to be. He's getting better every day. I think Trelo's going to start as a backup. He's just been consistent across the board. And then you got Zach Wilkie. He could make his way into the second string into the season. He has the most potential, but he's just kind of figuring it out as he is a young guy. But to Dima's point on who can support Brownlee, obviously Brownlee's going to be the top receiver. You've got Caston. 2 young guys that Coach Will Hall gave some credit to was Brendan Hayes and Davis Dalton. Dalton, obviously the freshman out of MRA. He's made some great catches, one-handed catches in practice. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that goes.
Yeah, Jackson, we'll come back to this discussion in a little bit. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit about other Golden Eagle sports and athletics guys. And that's a good point, and we'll end on that note. Carter, play the jams.
Shorts talked to us. He said there's just mo dogs on this team. He put it pretty simple. But when you look at the roster, who's potential and just who really just stands out this year to maybe take the next step?
Well, I don't really want to single anybody out individually because this is the ultimate team game. I think the biggest thing that stands out is, one, the cumulative effect of the tactical positions, right? The linebacker, safeties, we have a lot of players that have played a lot of quality football for us, right? Who've been through the process of all the seasons, right? Of all the phases of our off-season and in-season. They understand our process. They understand our scheme, right? And I think the biggest thing is that we feel really, really good about where we're at in the secondary because we have talented players who have played a bunch. At linebacker, I think we got 4 really good players. And then I think obviously the thing that stands out is our depth on the defensive line. Right, we've got to credit Coach Hall, our defensive staff, Coach Lacey, Coach Lindsey was a lot of big help on that, bringing in a lot of quality players with size, length, speed, and on top of that, character and capacity. Really, really good people. You know what I mean? And they came here and they've bought into doing it our way, and that obviously starts with Coach Hall installing that culture. But I think that's the biggest thing that stands out. But I think the thing, like I said, as a unit, we got to continue to improve on is that we're going to be who we say we are, right? The consistency with that, we got to be it every day. We said, I say to the guys all the time, if you're a dog every day. You know what I mean? The heat doesn't affect you, how you're feeling, right? You're locking in, you're focusing on what you need to focus on to be successful. You're present, and you're locking out the things that don't matter. You're locking in, and you're locking out.
Coach, also, just to add to that, a quick, quirky question, of course. Just talk about the long sleeve. I know you've been asked about it before, but like you just said, if you're a dog, you're gonna be a dog no matter the weather.
And usually you're wearing the black hoodie.
Yeah. I've upgraded. You know what I mean? My mom always said you either have swag or you don't. You know what I mean? So upgraded a little bit, but no. I like to cover up my skin. I'm a little pasty. You know what I mean? So I try to cover that up and protect myself from that. But I wear the same thing every day because I tell the guys, I think the biggest compliment you can give somebody is that they're the same every day. Their approach, how they do things, how they treat people. We talk about that with Coach Hall of our core values. If I'm going to sit there and preach that, being the same person every day, I certainly need to be the same person every day.
Of course. And
That's
also, just jumping ahead a little bit too, Coach, you're going to be facing 2 of the top 30 teams in the nation. Liberty was ranked 19. Matter of fact, Miami was ranked 19. Liberty was ranked 30th in offensive ranking last year. Could you just talk about maybe jumping ahead and what's to look forward to there?
Well, right now we're focusing on this phase right here, this phase of fall camp. Like I said, the habits phase, being the best version of ourselves, installing our schemes, become situational experts. We certainly have a lot of respect for Coach Freeze and the tremendous job that he and his staff have done in a short period of time at Liberty. And then obviously Miami, Coach Cristobal, Coach Gaddis, those guys have done a phenomenal job. We do things in the summer to prepare for those things going into the first part of the season. But right now we can't get to that until we're the best version of ourselves right now and maximize our football team.
And this is just for you. Obviously, if you look ahead on the schedule again, y'all are in the Sun Belt now, and you have some experience in the Sun Belt. Do you think that gives you any edge, or are you kind of just looking at that as, does that excite you?
Yeah, it excites me. One, I think it's great for Southern Mississippi. It's great for our university. We have a tremendous fan base and following, especially in this region. I think, we get the proximity to it's like 4 to 5 hours from 10 or 12 schools, right? Our folks will travel because they love Southern Miss. We get to play a lot of great institutions that are like-minded like us. So I'm really excited about that. I don't think it gives anybody an edge. Each week's its own week, and it's each circumstance has changed based off that. But I know as a member of this staff, I'm extremely excited for Southern Miss, most importantly.
Of course.
Do you have any?
Just to add this, Coach, just how do you maintain that from last year? You got off to a hot start on the defensive end, top-ranked rushing defense last year. How do you kind of maintain that, knowing that you've had that success? How do you kind of maintain that consistency coming into this year?
You certainly build off shared experience when people go through stuff and have success or failure. You either grow or you don't from that standpoint. But you got to restart, right? Those players that bank those reps, bank that success, bank those failures, you've got to build off that. The thing for us, our mantra, we're kind of the no-name defense in our opinion. I think we were in 8 categories in the top 25 last year. I think 4 in the top 10. And, we've got to develop that respect. We have a lot of really good players and good coaches. And we really embrace being, kind of the no-name defense because all we need is each other, right? And we're going to focus on being the best versions of ourselves, performing at a high level consistently, and that stuff will work itself out. But no, you got to restart. Each day is its new day, build off the shared experience, and go from there.
Of course. I think that's the best way to end it, right?
Do you have anything else you'd like to add about this season?
No, just thank you guys for what you guys do for our players, helping them, expose them for all their work.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back after the break. to 4th Street, and that was Duckworth, entitled Michael. It's a cool name.
Fire song.
And it's not spelled like a regular Michael.
No, Michael.
Yeah, Michael. Like, yeah. MICHW. Hey, you see what I'm saying? W.
Yeah.
But continuing on, guys, before we hopping into our flowers section, we're going to talk about other Golden Eagles athletics, guys. We're going to talk about soccer. I'll hand it over to Charlie. He's the soccer specialist. He used to play a little soccer. He was actually a soccer manager.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, like way back. But anyways, yeah. Southern Miss Soccer started a season, actually. We're talking about football. There's some sports that are starting their own seasons. They're in exhibition schedule right now. They have a couple exhibition matches, and they started this past Friday against PRCC. Coach JP, has some ties with the PRC. He used to coach there himself. He said he set that up. So they beat them 7-0. And listen to this, guys. Not even 30 seconds into the game, Golden Eagles scored. Esmeralda Figueroa scored, and then Exelia Nelson led the team in goals for that match with 2 on the day. And then you had other people getting in onto it too. Obviously, right now, their top player statistically in scoring points is overseas right now. It was actually our last she was our last guest on 4th Street last year because she is preparing for the World Cup, so we want to give
starts on Wednesday.
Wednesday is coming up, and they're playing Germany, which they're the big dogs. So good luck to Ilana Izquierdo, and congrats again for making that spot on Colombia's U20 national team for the U20 World Cup. So congrats to y'all.
Against a powerhouse in Germany. I don't know if y'all into the soccer scene, but Germany is like a powerhouse. So
yeah. We're not supposed to be biased, but I'm definitely I'm gonna be watching Columbia.
Yeah, you think like the women's soccer is starting off with a ton of SEC schools too on their schedule.
Yeah, I did want to say thanks. They do have, of course, playing William Carey, just, crosstown rivals Wednesday, but they start off on the road, basically, starting off against MGCC, then they're going to travel to Auburn and then Alabama, and then they're going to play 2 huge SEC home games. This is going to be wild. In the span of 4 days against LSU at State, and then they traveled to Ole Miss. So it's definitely a very, very crazy.
They're just playing the whole SEC West.
Yeah. First year in Sun Belt and then playing all those SEC teams. They believe in themselves, and I mean this shows it. So it's going to be an exciting soccer season for sure.
It will be. And Ole Miss is actually playing us in something. That's kind of surprising. I just want to throw it out. But, over to you, Demon, man. What do we have, man?
Yeah, looking at softball, as we all know, Southern Miss softball coach resigned. We had that story for you. So Southern Miss softball is expected to hire Natalie Poole as its next coach. It was first reported by extrainningsoftball.com and Pine Belt Sports after that. So she's coming from Memphis. She spent 11 seasons there with the Tigers. She had a 241 to 340 record, and she actually led Memphis to an American Athletic Conference semifinals in 2018. She also has some Sun Belt coaching experience, coaching out there at Georgia Southern for 7 seasons, and then McNeese State for 3 years. So softball picks up a new head coach. I don't think it's been independently confirmed by Southern Miss yet, but it has been reported by extrainningsoftball.com, which I honestly didn't even know existed, and then Pine Belt Sports after that.
No disrespect, no disrespect.
No disrespect, but I just didn't know that.
Nathan ought to get on to you for not knowing that, Demon.
My bad.
Yeah.
Softball guy.
Yeah, Nathan held down for softball, so.
Yeah, and take it away, Jackson.
And this past week, Southern Miss had a presence in the Northern Land, as in golf. Southern Miss junior golfer Robbie Latter finished second in the Canadian Amateur Championship. Obviously, Latter won the lowest scoring average in Southern Miss history last year, and he received second team All-Conference USA for his efforts.
Yeah, and that was pretty much our flowers. Obviously, we don't have many sports going on, but on a serious note to kind of end the show, we want to pay our respects to the families and friends and teams of the high school football players that died in separate tragedies this past week in the state. Yes. So rest in peace to Philip Laster Jr., Tyrese Hoskin, and Armand Littleton. Just as 4th Street, we send our condolences to the families and communities that are dealing with these tragic losses this week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amen. Definitely
a moment of silence for them. And guys, that has been our flowers section. Man, it's a great first show. I must say it's great to be back. It's great to have you guys on, Dima, Jackson, and Nathan. And Carter is in the back clapping. It's great to have him on the board.
Yes, sir. Thank
He
you,
was
Carter.
over here rocking out, if y'all didn't know, off camera, man. Carter liked that Duckworth song, man. So hopefully you guys liked our jams. We'll be back next week, at 5 p.m. on Mondays, guys. Any last words before we close out here?
Now I want to say we're going to be back this year. We hope to connect with more of y'all in the Southern Miss community, more student athletes and coaches. We're just looking to kind of, be here, be the rock this year for Southern Miss athletics. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and just be on the lookout. We'll be out at practice this week for football, and we'll be giving you a lot of coverage. So look at that for Twitter and on the website as well.
Jackson.
Thank y'all for having us. Let's ride.
Nathan, come slide in here, man.
Yes.
Let's ride
Southern
on 4th
Miss,
Street. I
let's
like
ride.
that.
4th Street, baby. We'll be back next week, 5 o'clock, y'all.
5 o'clock. As always, 5 o'clock on Mondays. Be sure to check us out on YouTube at 4th Street Sports on our YouTube page. We also live stream on Southern Miss Student Media. And also be on the lookout for our podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms at 4th Street Sports Show. We'll be back with you next week. Carter, let's go out of here, baby.